Martin recovered, graduated, and got a job at the law firm in New York City. So Ruth transferred from Harvard Law School to New York Columbia Law School and tied for first in class when she graduated. Surely Ruth will get a job, right? But at Columbia's Job Placement Center, most job postings said men only. Exhibit F. Even among the law firms supposedly open to hire women, not one firm will hire her. She was a woman, she was Jewish, and she was a mother. Ruth just shrugged and moved on, first to a job as a law clerk, then as a law professor, only to encounter unfairness again and again. Exhibit G. At Rutgers University, she found out female professors were being paid less than male professors. She and another woman sued the school and won. Exhibit H. Ruth will speak up at faculty meetings, and the male professors will totally ignore her. A male professor will then say the very same thing that Ruth had said and get acknowledged for being smart. This kept happening even after Ruth became Columbia's first tenured female law professor. By the 1970s, a lot of women had had enough of this sort of treatment. They took part in protests and demonstrated with signs saying, "Enough is enough, equal pay for equal jobs, women's liberation, and equality." It wasn't Ruth's style to take part in protests, but she did do something. An organization called the American Civil Liberty Union asked Ruth to be in charge of the court case involving women inequality. The reason they asked her because she was a woman, and they thought this was a woman work. There was no end to this disrespect. Nonetheless, Ruth accepted the position, and in 1972 she became the leader of the ACLU Women's Right Project, a battle in the court against unfairness to women. She was the lead lawyer for 6 Supreme Court cases, and she won 5 of them. Tough Ruth herself was not revolutionary. What she did for women was revolutionary. She won the right for women to get equal protection of the law, to be treated as equal to men. Ruth had become a lawyer not to change the world. She became a lawyer because she knew she had the verbal and analytical skills to handle the job as well as any man. But here she was, the most important female lawyer in America, fighting and winning legal battles for all American women. Here she was, changing the world. That is why in 1980 she was chosen by President Jimmy Carter to be a judge for the most important court of law in America, besides the Supreme Court, the U.S. Court of Appeals. She was only the second woman in history to serve on this court. Now it was her job to make judgment, to judge what was and wasn't legal. A good judge listens closely, choose words carefully, and value fairness above all else. This job suited Ruth perfectly. After 13 years of being a judge, at the age of 60, Ruth got a phone call one night. It was from President Bill Clinton. He wanted to appoint her to the Supreme Court, to be just the second female Supreme Court justice in history. As a girl, Ruth never dreamed she would be a lawyer or a judge, much less a Supreme Court justice. In her acceptance speech, she spoke of her mother. "I pray that I may be all that she would have been had she lived in an age when women could aspire and achieve, and daughters are cherished as much as sons." When Ruth arrived on the court, the first female Supreme Court Justice, Sandra Day O'Connor, was still serving. When Sandra retired, Ruth was the only woman on the Supreme Court for a few years. Tiny and outnumbered, and yet what she brought to the court was enormous. Dignity, civility, intelligence, and a soft-spoken manner. She also brought some of the most powerful, strong-worded dissents in Supreme Court history. A dissent is when a Supreme Court justice disagrees with the opinion of the majority of the 9 judges. In Ruth case, a dissent is when a Supreme Court justice disagrees with the opinion of the majority of the 9 judges. In Ruth case, a dissent often involves a written statement, perfectly worded, that rips apart the opinion of the majority. Physical toughness is another of Ruth's trademarks. In 2009, she found out she had cancer and needed surgery. Only 19 days after her operation, she returned to the court. She did so because she wanted people, especially young women, to see at least one woman on the Supreme Court. At any number of points, she could have listened to her father, she could have dropped out of law school, she could have abandoned her search for a job, she could have accepted being paid less than her male associates. Instead, she stayed on the difficult path she chose for herself, removing one obstacle after the next, until she arrived at the very court that is symbol of justice in America. There can just be one verdict. Because she did not give up, because she refused to let other people define her limitations as a person, Ruth Bader Ginsburg had herself become a symbol of justice in America.